Happy Camper Radio.
It is the Happy Camper Radio Show, episode 267. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And yes, my friends, we're going to make a happy camper out of you for sure. On the show today, we have Tina and Jeff Arnold from Kleen Tank of Eastern Florida. Folks, if you have an RV, if you're a new RV owner, or maybe you've owned an RV for a very long time, there are things that the dealer and the manufacturer aren't sharing with you about your gray and black water tanks. Tina and Jeff have got some valuable information for us on today's show, episode 267 of the Happy Camper Radio. This is going to be an episode that you won't want to miss.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
And, of course, the Happy Camper Radio Show can be heard all around the world by great listeners like yourself. We've been doing this now for 10-plus years. Yes, and you can find us just about anywhere you look on the Internet. We're in all the major podcast directories. Of course, you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on X. Yeah, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X. And, of course, you know, if you want to see Daniel and I in the studio as we do the show, yes, check out our YouTube channel. All right, just go to YouTube, put in Happy Camper Radio. Look for that little pup tent right down there. If you're monitoring us on the on our internet computer or you know, or on your smartphone or wherever the case may be, you see that little pup tent. You want to click on that because you'll be a subscriber to the show. You'll never miss a single episode. Of course, you can follow us on the web. We're there 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. And, of course, back in the studio with us again is
Daniel Pitts.
Hey!
Yeah.
How's it going?
So happy to see you again,
Yeah.
Daniel. Yeah. I just got back from a wonderful camping trip
Yeah?
up on Lake Lanier. Daniel,
Oh, yeah.
it didn't rain this time. What
It was
happened?
threatening, though, wasn't it?
What happened?
I don't
telling
know.
you. I mean, I did hear a little bit of thunder out
Yeah.
there way off in the distance, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I enjoyed the time by the lake. I watched the boats going up and down the lake. Met a lot of great people up there.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when I pulled into the campground host remembered me from the last visit.
Aha, you're a regular.
No, I'm not quite yet, okay? But, you know, I'm starting to show up at these campgrounds a little more often. I think I need to extend the stay.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 3 to 4 days, I probably need to go the whole 14 days.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, wouldn't mind that one bit.
I don't blame you.
Got some great relaxation in.
I know.
And I'm looking forward to booking the next camping trip, which is not too far down the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I stopped at your grocery store while I was up there. Daniel's Grocery.
I heard they told me.
Oh, did they? Yeah, you know,
I told them to look out for you.
I think of you every single time I go by there.
I want to go there one day.
You're going to have to.
I want to see if they've got T-shirts or something.
Hey, it's only about an hour away.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's about an hour drive from here. And, yeah, I think you would enjoy it. It's a great place to go to get relaxed and just put the world on hold for a little bit.
I always like to set up a hammock, like when there's nothing to do. Like I've already checked out the clubhouse and everything. I like to put up the hammock and just pass out.
There's nothing wrong with that because I can easily pass out in my recliner.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
done that a few times also. Yeah, but the weather was perfect. You know, it wasn't too hot. Had the canopy up and
you had the new screen door. How'd that work out?
the screen door. Sadie loved it.
Aha.
It took her a moment to figure out how to use it, but, you know, I didn't have to get out of my recliner for anything. She was able to go in and out, and the bottom line is, Daniel, it kept the bugs out.
Oh, yeah.
That's what was really, really important.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
hopefully it'll work out well just about on any camping trip that we go on. But, of course, you know, we take the time to spray for ants. You know, we don't want any ants coming inside the RV.
Oh, no.
But, no, I had a great time. I'm looking for my next camping destination. I've got a few sites in mind.
Yeah, we're talking about maybe going down to Gulf Shores in October.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to coordinate with you, and maybe we could do a show by the beach.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm working on getting my awning. I should have it in about a month or so.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see you got the pop-up out of the garage and off to the side of the house.
Oh, yeah.
And that made a lot of room inside the garage.
It freed up a lot of room, yeah.
Well, Daniel, on the show today, we've got some very special guests. They are waiting in the shadows. Let's go ahead and get them on the show right now.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
Joining Joining us today on the Happy Camper Radio Show is Jeff and Tina from Kleen Tank of Eastern Florida. Jeff and Tina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Skip. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Skip. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and so is Daniel sitting over here in front of me.
Hi, Daniel.
Yeah. But anyway, I tell you what, I am really excited to have our second Kleen Tank franchisee back on the program here. And I'll tell you why, to me, this is so very important, because I am fairly a new RV owner. I've had my RV for about a year. And I was very shocked and surprised that when you buy an RV, especially a new RV from a dealer, you don't really get to know all that really needs to be known about your RV, and especially the holding tanks and properly servicing them. And I learned a lot from both you folks and from our friend Gabriel, who we had on the show earlier this year from Kleen Tanks on the Road #3. But Jeff and Tina, tell us why it is so important for RV owners to maintain their black water and gray water holding tanks.
Absolutely. So obviously, the title of the tank kind of gives it away. They're called holding tanks. And the products that are marketed to RVers today that you can readily buy on the store shelves that are tank treatments typically treat either odor or they are an enzyme or digestant type of tank treatment. The situation with those is they are not optimal to use for your holding tanks. The reason for this is that your tanks are meant to hold water and waste, high water content with waste mixed in there. And you're supposed to evacuate that to the septic system where it would then break down. What's currently happening with RV owners is they don't realize that their holding tanks are not a septic system. It's not meant to break down waste. When the waste breaks down, it causes a pancake-like batter type of substance in your tank, thus creating a buildup on the walls and the sensors of the inside of your tanks. Many people don't realize that the enzymes and digestants that you're putting in your tanks interact with urinary waste, causing a buildup of a crystal, a mineral crystal called struvite. And this struvite can become fine like sand, it can be shale-like, or it can be as thick as concrete in some cases. This decreases your tank capacities. It also, and this is just in the black tank, by the way, but it can decrease your tank capacity, and also it can create foul odors and potentials for clogs. So we try to educate our clients, our customers, to understand that really your holding tanks need a much simpler treatment that does not break down waste. But that treatment that we offer, the bottle of cleaner that we offer, does not work unless your tanks have been completely professionally cleaned and restored to factory fresh.
Now, I'm quite surprised that the RV manufacturers don't educate people on this when they buy a new RV. I mean, take my RV, for example. None of this is explained in the owner's manual. It wasn't until, we had another guest on the show here that explained all this to us. So are you finding when you go to like an RV park and you're servicing these RVs that many of the owners don't even realize that this is taking place?
Yeah, Skip, what I'm finding is a lot of times we have bought like 2 or 3 RVs from new, and it's amazing. It's amazing. They will show you everything in the inside. They'll show you all the storage. They will show you this is where you where you hook up, and then that's the of the sewer. So what we're finding out is it's education. Education is one of the things that Kleen Tank does very well. Is we spend the time to educate these RVers that are going out, and it's so many times we're finding out the way they do things, and there's oh my God, there's a thousand things they do. They add this, so many different things they do to their tanks, that these myths that they try, and it does not work.
Right. In many cases, it makes their situation worse.
Yeah.
From what we can tell in the clients that we have serviced, they have not been educated on the proper care of their black tanks. In fact, in certain instances, they have been miseducated, thinking that ice down the toilet is going to break up the waste, or that they should add, believe it or not, we have had people that have been told to treat the odor with Tang drink mix.
What?
It's these kinds of things. Yes. And then another one is bleach is a popular one. People will want to kill the odor, and they will put bleach down their tank. And the problem with this is that bleach is caustic, and bleach is going to dry out the seals in the tanks and damage the sensors. So really, it's a very simple concept once you understand what your RV's holding tank is meant to do and what it's not meant to do. It's meant to hold the waste with a lot of water content and very simply be evacuated to the septic. There really is no need to not use toilet paper. You can use whatever toilet paper you desire. So long as you're using a lot of water, tank maintenance can be very simple. And of course, you probably already know that Kleen Tank does use a cleaner for the tanks that you can use in both your gray and your black. It's a complimentary bottle that we supply our clients with. It's a mixture of Pine Sol, Calgon bath beads, and water. And the reason that these components work very, very well together in the tanks is that they, number one, kill odor. Number two, they do help to keep the mold down. And number three, the Calgon part helps to provide a little bit of slide and slippage in the black in your tank, so that things aren't readily sticking so easily. And we really provide this recipe to our clients, Kleen Tank does, so that they can make this tank treatment themselves for pennies on the dollar, and it can be used in both the gray tank and the black tank alike.
And you'll be surprised to know that I carry 12 bottles in my RV. Yes. I bought a package of 12 industrial bottles. Now, you could use old soda bottles, but I mean, they're not really heavy duty and sturdy. But I went ahead to a janitorial company here in the metro Atlanta area, and I bought a package of 12, and I actually make that formula myself, and I keep 12 bottles inside my RV at all times. So yeah, I mean, I've got more than enough. But I don't think people really understand that, if they don't properly maintain their holding tanks, both their gray and their black water tanks, that if something were to happen, that their RV has to go in for service, that the cost of either repairing or replacing those tanks are going to be astronomical.
Well, that's correct. And you know what? Even still, what we find also is that people think that, they're always worried about one type of clog. They're worried about a waste mound or the ever-feared poop pyramid, which is why they choose an enzyme to break down the waste. The problem is they don't realize that they can also get clogs in their gray tank, and they can also get clogs from struvite buildup in the tank that breaks off and blocks, the hole that would allow your waste to drain out. And if you have to call Kleen Tank, well, if you get a clog, the first thing is that RV techs don't want to deal with it. Most RV techs are not going to come and help you with a clog in your RV. Number two, plumbers. Local plumbers typically do not want to deal with a clog in your RV tank or toilet because they don't want to dealing with warranty situations on people's RV. So then, you have to call someone like Kleen Tank to come out. We're happy. We definitely do emergency clog services, but they become to be costly. So just like you had a house and you might have to service the AC once a year, you have to think of your RV the same way. It does require certain preventative maintenance on your RV, and your holding tanks is one of them.
Now, how long does the process take to actually clean a gray and black water tank once you're on site?
Skip, what I do is it's about an hour and a half cleaning. It all depends. It all depends on the education they have or don't have on cleaning. but it's normal about an hour and a half.
It could take up to 2 or
But
2.5 hours.
it could take longer. It all depends on what and what they've done to their tanks and how they maintained it.
Yeah, we had a tank just this past weekend, a 2004 fifth wheel, and what was coming out of the tanks after Jeff hydrojetted the tanks was such thick, broken up struvite that encompassed the entire hose, the entire sewer hose. It couldn't even drain down the septic the way that it should. We had to do some extra things and get some extra help there to help their sewer system be able to take all that. But that's the kind of thing that happens over long periods of just using your tanks and maybe flushing them with water, but never having them professionally cleaned, which should be an annual preventative maintenance type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How often should the RV holding tanks be cleaned? So ideally once a year, correct?
Professionally, yes. We would recommend annual cleanings once a year for your RV's water heater. Now, that's another thing that we do service. We recommend that if people are full-time RV living, they should be flushing their water heaters 4 times a year, and they should be replacing their anode rod if you're full-time at least twice a year. And we do those services as well, and we educate on the RV water heater as well.
Now, do you find that most of your new customers, when you're servicing their holding tanks, you're finding out that they are putting the wrong formula inside the tanks? Are you finding that in most cases?
I would say 99% of the time.
Oh, my. Right. Or they'll have some formula that they've come up with their mind of dish soap and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they think that is what helps.
Right.
You know, and then you got RVers who's been doing it for so many years, and they're very good at cleaning their tanks, and they will want to they'll hesitate to call us, but they usually call us, and then they'll find out they'll spend 3 or 4 hours back flushing their gray and black, and they think they've got it, and then when we get there, we really show them what they've missed.
Right, and the truth of the matter is, it's not that they're not taking good care of their RV holding tanks. In most cases, they are flushing with what they've learned. Everybody who buys an RV understands they need to, empty their tanks, but then they need to flush with the flush port. But we all know that the gray tank doesn't have a flush port, and even the black that does have a flush port, you can flush 4 or 5, 6 times and not really get the buildup that's in there, because struvite, if it is inside their tank, can only be broken up by a hydrojet and removed that way. So it's like water running over rock. You see how water just runs over a rock. If you have that shale-like buildup in your tank, clear water is going to run right over it. But a dead giveaway, you're dealing with struvite inside your holding tank, is continual odor that smells very like it has a lot of ammonia content. The second one is if you flush and you're still having your sensors misreading, chances are you have some degree of struvite in your tanks. And the third dead giveaway is if you have a 40-gallon tank and you're having to empty your black tank every other day or every 2 or 3 days, and you're emptying it more often than you used to, chances are you have a struvite buildup and it's decreasing your tank capacity.
My, wow. Now, for our listeners who have RVs that aren't really educated on this, when we're talking about a reverse flush, they do make this device, and I purchased one shortly after I bought my RV, and it's actually a reverse flush gate valve, and you can get them for about $40 on Amazon, and I use mine all the time. And in fact, this past camping trip that I just came back from, since a lot of times I don't camp at a campsite that has full hookup, I've got to do my reverse flush at the dump station, provided, however, there's not a lot of people waiting in line behind me, and a lot of times that's not the case. But just this past week, yes, I reverse flushed maybe 6 or 7 times, and You'd be surprised at what waste is at the bottom of the tank that you think you got everything out and you didn't.
Yep.
We love the Flush King, and we agree that reverse flush is a wonderful layer of protection for people, especially if you're full-time. We do tell clients that it doesn't negate professional cleanings once a year, but what it does do is it adds an extra layer of protection. So if you are a full-time RVer, we tell our clients that every 6 to 8 weeks, you don't have to do it every time, but every 6 to 8 weeks, you should be reverse flushing. And this is going to greatly help the cleanliness of your tanks and the health of your tanks, because the flush port only allows water to clean like the top 1/3 of your tank. And then everything that sits in the bottom of your tank kind of just sits there and builds up. But the Flush King sends in about 3 inches of water across the bottom of your tank. And when you fill your tanks up, to a certain level, when you're doing your flush process, that kind of sucks out all of that leftover that's inside your tanks. However, we do denote that with one cautionary thing. If you don't know your tank capacities, you should not be reverse flushing. You need to know your tank capacities, and you need to know what you're doing so that you're not maxing your tank capacity during the flush process.
Wow. Okay. There's so much to be learned. And there is a website also that you folks have. It's cleantanks.com. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. For Kleen Tank, our parent company, who is owned by Mr. Jim and Debbie Tome, Mr. and Mrs. Jim and Debbie Tome, their website is cleantank.com. And for anyone who's interested in service, you'd be surprised to know that we are nationwide and even into Canada, and they can find a dealer near them. You can just go right on that website to find a dealer, and you'll be able to find a dealer close to you. And if you're in the eastern part of Florida or inland, you can certainly find Jeff and I through that dealer site as well.
Okay, that's terrific. Yeah, I was just going to ask you because I know we have quite a few listeners down there in the Florida area, and I'm sure they will be, they'll be listening and watching this episode and getting as educated as they possibly can, and hopefully they get in touch with you real soon, because I doubt very many of them have had their RV holding tanks professionally cleaned. And I know I've got I'm going to be going to a Grand Design rally here in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, coming up in March. And I know I was looking on their website. There's also going to be a Kleen Tank representative there. So I am definitely going to look them up and make sure I get my holding tanks professionally cleaned. So, yeah, this is so very important.
North Carolina will be at that rally.
You will be there too?
No, Kleen Tank of North Carolina, our friends Jack and Wendy Pate, they will be at that rally.
Wow. Okay. I'm definitely going to look them up. And if you talk to them beforehand, let them know that Skip from Happy Camper Radio is going to be there. And I'm going to probably be doing my radio show from up there as well. So I'd probably be delighted to have them on the program, when I'm there at the campground. But, this is just so very exciting. And I also want to point out, too, that your parent company, folks who want to go to that website, cleantanks.com, you can find the recipe for the your holding tank formula that you're going to put in there, the Pine Sol and the Calgon bath beads, the proper mixture, and you can make your own batch right there. I just highly encourage you, go buy yourself a 12-pack, okay? So you make sure you have enough. Get a 12-pack of industrial bottles and make them right there at your kitchen table and store them in your RV, because they come in real handy. And personally, I love the smell of Pine Sol. I just love the pine odor, whether it be in the house or in the RV. I actually use that to clean the floors in my RV because I just love the aroma. It's just so great, yeah. And to pour that in your holding tanks. And I think in the summer months, you probably need a little bit more than you do, say, like in the spring and fall, correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir. And there's also, and if people have an aversion, believe it or not, we have a lot of people. I love the smell of Pine Sol, but there are a lot of people that have an aversion to the scent of pine.
Mm-hmm.
They can feel free to use any scent of Pine Sol that they like. There's a lavender, there's lemon. We love lemon for odor control. Personally, Jeff and I. But yes, they can use any scent that they prefer.
Okay, and this formula also, it does not in any way damage the sensors in your holding tanks, correct?
No, sir, it does not. The pine sol of yesteryear, some RV manufacturers will tell people to avoid pine sol. However, the pine sol of yesteryear was like 100% pine oil. There is very little pine oil in the pine sol of today. In fact, it's the last ingredient. It is safe for the sensors and safe for your tank.
Great. That's fantastic. You know, I baby my RV every opportunity I can. I get out there and clean it. I wash it and make sure everything is working just fine. And I'm glad I learned very early on about what could happen if you put the wrong type of formula down that tank. You know, that pancake batter, mixture down there can really build up. And yeah, like you say, it can clog your sensors and require some deep cleaning. And in some cases, you say like 2 or 3 hours, depending upon, how damaged, or I want to say damaged, but how clogged your actual holding tanks are.
Yes, sir. And that includes the gray tank. A lot of people will say, oh, just clean our black tank. I promise you, in probably 75% of tanks that we service, the gray tank is in many cases more foul and much grosser than the black tanks.
Wow. Okay. Well, I tell you what, every time we get some guest here on the program, no matter what the topic is, there's always something to be learned. And this lesson right here, I tell you what, anybody who owns an RV, definitely want to check this out, episode 267 of the Happy Camper Radio Show. Jeff and Tina, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us on the program today. I look forward to talking to you again sometime down the road and hope to meet you out there at a campground.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Skip and Daniel, for having us on. It's been a joy. And Jeff?
Absolutely. And we are RVers also. To just let everybody know that we don't just do this do this without an RV, but we RV. We've been camping for many years.
Yes.
We started off with Daniel like this. We started off with a tent, and we went up to a pop-up for many years.
And now we have a 40-footer.
I'm trying to get him in an RV. I may do that maybe in about, it may take me about 10 years, but I think, we'll eventually get it done. Jeff and Tina, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Skip.
Thank you, sir.
I'll tell you, Daniel. You learn something new every time you get a guest on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And, and I was so busy rattling on here, not even thinking. I believe I said Myrtle Beach was in North Carolina. It's boy. South Carolina. I can see myself getting all excited for that upcoming rally next March, driving all the way up to North Carolina and deciding, well, maybe I need to go ahead and put this in my GPS and find out I got to turn around. Oh, no. It's South Carolina, yes. Yep. And, I've got relatives out there. I need to go ahead and pay them a visit.
There you go.
I get in that direction. I still may make a trip out there this year. Mm-hmm. I'm still thinking about it here, maybe sometime late September or early October. I'll have to see how that goes. But, I was just so delighted to have Jeff and Tina on the program. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you want to make that recipe for your holding tanks, I encourage you to go ahead and toss out whatever you're using right now. And you can make that recipe right at your kitchen table. You go to cleantank.com, and they've got the recipe right there. It's a combination of pine sol and Calgon bath beads mixed up with water. I tell you what, I always use that now in my RV holding tanks. And I have no regrets whatsoever. All right. But, every camping trip, Daniel, 12 bottles.
I got to get my mom to make some of that for our trailer up there. So,
It might do some good. Yeah.
Because I remember when we cleaned out ours, we just put a hose down there. And, like they said, if it's just like water going over a rock, who knows what it looks like. And, my parents are kind of cheap, so they've never really gotten it professionally done. So
I think it wore off.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to find someone up in LJ to see if there's someone that can professionally clean those.
Okay. Well, Daniel, right now it's time for our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper Radio.
And this week, Daniel, we're going to go out to the neighboring state of Alabama.
Alabama.
Yes, we're going to go to the Birchfield Branch Park Campground.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, it's a short drive away from Atlanta, so, it's something else I might put on the radar here. But Birchfield Branch Park Campground is located near Holt Lake on the Black Warrior Tom Bigby Waterway northeast of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That was a mouthful. With many amenities, access to the water, and opportunities to view wildlife, the Birchfield Branch Campground provides a convenient camping spot for families, boaters, swimmers, picnickers, and sightseeing. They have 36 sites with electrical and water hookups, as well as one reservable group picnic shelter for day use. RV campers have the convenience of hot showers, dump station, and trash receptacles. All the information is going to be right there on our website, happycamperradio.com. Just click on the featured campground tab. It'll be there all week long. All the information is right there. Make sure you check out the know before you go items there as well before you make any type of reservation. And always remember, folks, don't move firewood.
Mm-hmm.
Protect those trees and the forest from those tree-killing pests by purchasing your firewood on site and burning it on site as well. For more information, we've got a link to that on our homepage too, but you can check it out at don'tmovefirewood.org. Great campground in the state of Alabama. You might want to go ahead and check this one out. It's the Birchfield Branch Park Campground, and it is our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Skip and Daniel on happycamperradio.com.
And as always, folks, if you have a campground you'd like for us to feature on the program, by all means, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or this guy right in front of me.
Hey, it's Daniel at happycamperradio.com.
Yes, and be sure to include a link to the campground website. Daniel, I always enjoy having guests on the program.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody wants to be on the program and talk about camping, hey, the phone line is wide open for you.
There you go.
Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and we'll definitely make that happen. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show, episode 267. Always a pleasure, Daniel, having you back in the studio with us again. And we'll be doing it again real soon.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. Do like I did, and do like Daniel just recently did.
Boy.
Yeah. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us on the web. We're there 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Follow us on X. And by all means, check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
See our smiling faces right here in the studio. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel, always a happy camper. And yes, my friends, we're going to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again soon. This is Happy Camper Radio.